Some people don't grow up being comforted. They grow up being told to stay strong, to figure it out, to not make things harder for anyone else. So they learn how to carry themselves early, how to hold things in, how to survive without asking for much. From the outside, it looks like resilience. But on the inside, it often feels like loneliness, the kind you get used to. This story is for the ones who learned how to stand on their own, even on the days they desperately wished they didn't have to. Clara had always been the dependable one, the one who showed up, the one who listened, the one people leaned on when things fell apart. From a young age, she understood that needing too much made people uncomfortable, so she learned to soften her pain, to downplay her struggles, to say "I'm fine," even when she wasn't. Over time, strength became less of a choice and more of an expectation, something she wore so often it started to feel like skin. Her life looked steady from the outside. She worked hard. She kept things moving. She rarely asked for help. But there were moments, quiet ones, when the weight of always being strong pressed down on her chest. Nights when she sat alone, staring at nothing, feeling the ache of everything she had never said out loud. Mornings when getting out of bed felt heavier than it should have, and she couldn't explain why. Moments where she wished someone would notice the exhaustion behind her composure. One evening, after a long day that demanded more than she had left to give, Clara closed the door to her apartment and felt something inside her give way. She didn't cry right away. She just sat there, on the floor, breathing shallowly, her body tight, her mind loud with thoughts she had nowhere to put. Why am I always the strong one? Why does it feel like there's no room for me to fall apart? And then, in that stillness, something shifted. There was no voice, no solution, no dramatic realization, just the quiet understanding that she didn't need to fix anything in that moment. She let herself stay there, let the tears come, let the weight exist without rushing to carry it better. For the first time in a long while, she didn't demand strength from herself. And in that space, that gentle, wordless presence she allowed herself, something softened. She wasn't suddenly healed. Nothing in her life magically changed. But she realized this. Strength didn't always mean standing alone. Sometimes it meant letting yourself be human, even if the only one sitting with you was you. That night didn't make her weaker. It made her honest. And from that honesty, a quieter, truer kind of strength began to grow. There are people who grow up learning how to survive quietly, not because they wanted to be strong, but because there wasn't another option. Some of us learned early how to self-soothe, how to keep going, how to swallow pain without making noise. We became reliable, independent, capable, and from the outside it looks like strength. But inside, there's often a different story. It's the story of nights where you wished someone would notice you were struggling without you having to explain it. Moments where you needed comfort but didn't know how to ask for it, or didn't believe it would come even if you did. Times when you told yourself, "I'll handle it," because that was safer than hoping someone else might. And over time, that way of living becomes normal. You stop expecting support. You stop reaching out. You become the one who holds it together, even when you're breaking inside. What isn't talked about enough is how heavy that becomes. Because being strong all the time means you don't always get to be human. It means your pain waits until you're alone. It means your tears come quietly, in rooms where no one can see them. That's why this idea of silent love matters so much. Not the loud kind, not the kind that fixes or advises, but the kind that simply stays. And for some people, that presence comes from another person, a friend, a partner, a stranger who shows up at the right moment. But for many others, it doesn't. And that's where this becomes even more personal. Because when no one is there to sit beside you, you learn how to sit beside yourself. You learn how to let yourself cry without rushing to stop it. You learn how to breathe through the heaviness instead of pushing it away. You learn how to tell yourself, "I don't need to be strong right now, I just need to be here." That kind of self-love isn't inspirational. It isn't pretty. It doesn't happen all at once. It happens on bedroom floors, in quiet cars, in moments where you feel unseen, and choose not to abandon yourself anyway. And maybe that's the truth we don't say out loud enough. Some people don't heal because they were held by others. Some people heal because they learned how to hold themselves. And both forms of love matter. If you've been strong for a long time, if you've learned how to survive without much support, if you've ever wished someone would just sit with you while you fall apart, You're not weak for feeling that. You're human. And even now, just listening to this, you're not as alone as you think. For anyone who understands the power of quiet presence, whether given by others or learned within, let's continue exploring these subtle moments together. If this reflection resonated with you, stay with me for the next story. Sometimes, the smallest moments of awareness carry the deepest healing.